Today's episode of the Learning with Sterling show, I wanted to talk to you guys today about play. And what does play mean for us as people and as learners? One of the things that I learned in college, so I was a biochemistry molecular biology major with a minor in dance. And that minor in dance taught me a lot of things other than technique and history of dance and choreography. It also taught me a lot about humanity and how to be a person and how people are. And one of the most important lessons that I learned was in my modern dance class, where we were doing a reflection on where does dance come from. And our instructor shared that piece. And in that piece, it says that we've always been dancers. We always have the ability to dance. And now that I'm the mother of 3 small children, including even a infant, I can see that the ability to dance, to move your body in a fun way is present from the very beginning. One of the things that also means is that joy and playing is also present from the very beginning, right? My 7-week-old baby, I can say, do you want to play? And I'm not sure if he fully understands what that means, but the joy behind the word play and the movements that he does alongside his siblings shows me that play is present from the very beginning, that joy is present. So what does that mean for us? If we innately want to play, we innately want to enjoy life, we want to move our bodies and just experience things in a fun way. What can we do with that? Well, that means that we need to keep play in our life all the way through it, and even the serious stuff needs to keep play as a part of it. I learned this more particularly from observing the classrooms of my sons. So from infant classrooms, so from 6 weeks old on, the daycare teachers are teaching my children through play. I really do believe that early childhood educators may be the best of us all, because they are working with small children who are learning how to live, just exist, right? Like, we do not pay them enough. They are keeping small children alive, but also teaching them the how to live life in a way that, includes all of the children that are in that classroom and meeting all their needs. They can't even express those needs. And when I come into their classroom, I always see them playing. But when I talk to my kids, they talk about what they learned, and they truly do learn things. Like they always do times with baby dolls, regardless of their sex. Both the boys and the girls have baby doll time, and that has taught them a lot about empathy and about how to take care of a baby. Both my sons want to pat their littlest brother on the back because they know that might give him comfort because they've played that before. And my oldest is in pre-K and I've gone to his classroom and I can see he's learning math, but he doesn't realize it because he's playing. He's playing a game with the numbers. He's playing with blocks. He's playing, right? The learning is becoming more solid because he is playing. He's having fun doing it. But as we get older, we play less and less. I talked about that last week, about how I started to hide some of the things that I love to do, namely Pokemon. But all of us kind of started to think that play is just for children. And then we don't get to experience it again until we're older. If we choose to have children, that for many people, that's the first time you get to play again, because that's the first time that you have to play again because there's nobody else in the room. And so you've got to play. I'm very fortunate that I am the oldest of 6 children. And so my youngest sibling was still very young by the time that I had my first child. And I got to play with my siblings my whole life. Play never left my life. And I think that's one of the most valuable things that came from being in a large family, is that play and childhood and wonder never left because it kind of had to stay there. We couldn't force, the toddler to act like a middle schooler. We couldn't force anybody to act differently. A 2-year-old's going to be a 2-year-old. But that meant we got to meet them where they're at And so I never had to leave childhood permanently, right? I never felt like I was out of the childhood realm. And so I kept play in my life, and I saw how much better life was because I could play and I could have fun. And I brought that with me as I became an educator myself. I actually have a bit of a reputation. I keep hearing this, and I have Rate My Professor blocked on my computer, but I have heard about it from other students that supposedly I am easy. That's what I'll hear. I'll hear that I'm the easy anatomy professor. And then students show up in my class and they discover very quickly that anatomy is never going to be easy. It is never going to be easy to memorize all the bony landmarks. It is never going to be easy to understand the physiology of the kidney. It's just not going to be easy. However, learning can be made easier through play, through fun. So for me, a class period does not feel like a serious lecture. It does not feel like this time where I'm going to hand the students this information and expect them to just know it off the bat and have it perfect. Because to me, a class period's a game. It's a game for me. It is fun for me to see how many students achieve understanding by the end of the class period. But that game can't be just for me. It can't be an only me game, right? Because if it's just how well I lecture, then it's only going to be fun for me and it's not going to be fun for the students. And where's the fun in that, right? So what I do now is I include a lot of things that I have read that you can see in the back. I've got my books, all the ways that you can enjoy learning more, things that bring more joy into the classroom, things like wonder. Like I make my students just stare at an echocardiogram of the heart, or things like role playing, things like games, things like routine, things like questions, just silly questions at the beginning of class. Anything that can bring joy and entertainment to the classroom can make such a difference. I'm just thinking about this summer class. My students were about to take an exam and they were just making jokes about the heart for a good 10 minutes straight, and I don't even think they noticed, and they were laughing, and they did amazing on their exam, despite it being one of the more challenging exams that I write, because they were just having fun. So it's one of those things that I think we don't often realize is that innate part of us, the fun of things, finding joy in things, is what makes learning and honestly life easier. I think that my whole life was a lot easier because I always had somebody to play with. I think my life was like, it wasn't like I had no challenges, no struggles, no hardship, but because I had my siblings to play with, because I now have my children to play with and my students to play with, there is something more fun, more enjoyable about everything. Because I think sometimes we take life and learning and class a little too seriously. Actually, I know we do, because when I don't treat class like a game, when I treat it like this serious assessment, no one learns. I don't have fun, they don't have fun. And usually that's the lowest part of the exam score, almost guaranteed. So I encourage anybody who's watching or listening to the episode today to just find something to turn into a game, something to make fun. Because yes, a serious lecture can be a game, an activity that you do, something in your life that might feel a little more serious. Could be a bit of game. It could be fun. As Mary Poppins says so splendidly, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Have a great day, everyone.